Hey y'all, welcome back to Wizard's Forge. Before we start today's video, I got to address something. I haven't recorded in a couple of weeks because I had to take my computer to the repair shop. I had upgraded my RAM to be able to play a game because I did not have enough RAM for that. And well, I don't know much about computers yet. I kind of just started getting into them. And ultimately, I landed up messing up my computer and had to take it to a repair shop. So, yeah. Today's video, however, will be another one for the Dynamic Combat series. And it doesn't just have to be combat, but it's mostly meant for combat, in my opinion. And I've seen a couple other YouTubers review it, but I'm going to review it because I like the book, and yeah. Today is Monster Weaknesses. It's by a bunch of people. It's a collaborative project, is what I like to call it. So, yeah, let's get into it. Here you see the cover. Look at that fine, fine art, as always. I love the art on these books, I swear, man. I can never get over it. That looks so dang cool. They also have, yeah, we'll get into that at the end of the video. Let's just focus on this one. Alright. So here you see the table of contents. I'm going to probably pick like 4 or 5 to look at. Ooh, that looks like pretty cool. The Perilous... Oh, wait, that's flavor. No, not what I want. I want the actual... Okay, here we go. What are monster weaknesses? You have probably seen monster weaknesses in movies and video games. Sometimes the weaknesses are straightforward and obvious. For example, The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. Just before the Battle of Helm's Deep, the elven archer Legolas tells his comrades that the Uruk-hai's armor is weak at the neck and under the arms. Weaknesses can also be discovered in the course of combat, such as when... Urjor and Barabash realize that choking a green dragon can keep it from using its breath weapon. Other times, the weakness must be found by other means. For example, in Critical Role, The Legend of Vox Machina, Vax'ildan comes upon a cryptic hint in a book from Gilmore as to how to defeat the dragon's Scourge by, no spoilers. Either way, monster weaknesses are something that characters can discover and exploit to help defeat or influence other creatures. 5th edition D&D has some weaknesses built into creature stat blocks that require player characters to think more strategically about combat. On-gigs have a reduced armor class while prone. It's not always tactically sound to focus on knocking an enemy prone, but if their underside is weak, it can be done. Normally, a pool of water on a map has little consequence, but if fighting a fire elemental, this same pool can turn the tide, so to speak. Turn the tide. Oh, I love that. Oh, dad jokes. Skeletons are vulnerable to bludgeoning damage. Fighters are proficient in all manner of weapons, but how often do they switch between their greatsword and their flail? Each of these weaknesses provides an interesting challenge to the course of a fight, because players must be strategic to allow their character to exploit them. Using monster weaknesses. This book provides combat weakness for every monster in the monster manual, and social weaknesses for every monster. That speaks a language available to player characters. The inspiration for these weaknesses comes from a creature's anatomy, description in the monster manual, or from well-known legends. Each weakness presented in this book is meant to be a trait that can be appended to a creature's stat block. Alright, here we go. Combat weaknesses. Combat weaknesses are meant to make battles more dynamic. Hey! I love it. Strategic and immersive. Combat weaknesses may remove traits from monsters, cause their attacks to have disadvantage, or make them more susceptible to certain conditions. These weaknesses can be just as exciting for a trivial encounter with some owlbears in the woods, or as an epic campaign-ending battle against the Tarrasque. However, There are a few things to consider when adding a weakness. Ooh, excuse me. Keep things moving. Ask yourself if you can keep track of additional weaknesses while running a complex multi-monster combat. If you can, go wild. If not, consider which monster would be the most interesting to have weakness for. Maybe a raging band of demons. The Garistro commander has a weakness, but the Hezrao grunts that it commands are run as normal. Your world, your rules. Not all of these weaknesses will make sense in your D&D world. Perhaps the biology of culture or culture of certain creatures is different from what's presented in the monster manual. You can omit any weakness that don't work for your table or use the ones in here to inspire new ones. Trivializing combat. None of the weaknesses presented in this book are intended to trivialize a combat encounter, but every party is different. The party with a cleric and a paladin is going to have easier access to holy water and radiant damage to fight back shadow monsters, and the party with a barbarian and a fighter is going to have an easier time holding closed a giant crocodile's jaw. If combat becomes too easy, you can always increase the hit points of monsters or tweak the weakness to suit your needs. Or, do like some of the other videos that I've put out, give them recharge abilities, give them bloodied abilities, stuff like that. Balance out the easiness with the making it more difficult to make it, still interesting, but balanced. Social weakness is. Social weaknesses are meant to make roleplay more interesting and rewarding, or potentially provide hooks to involve the player characters to interact more thoughtfully with NPCs. These weaknesses can provide advantage on charisma checks, help avoid combat, or help characters extract information from NPCs. Social weaknesses require a bit of finesse from the DM. Here are a few things to consider when adding a social weakness. It's not mind control! No matter how many bonuses a character has to charisma, NPCs still have their own free will and goals. If the characters have advantage on a charisma persuasion check, but ask something of a creature that it would never do in its right mind, you may not even want to ask for a roll. Even if you knew a billionaire's favorite type of tea and were extremely persuasive, she would never give you all her coin, no matter how charming you were. I'm glad they put that tidbit there, because I have seen horror stories out there where the player gets angry when it's like, I want to roll a persuasion check to do X thing. And the most common example that I see all the time, right? The Dungeon Dudes mention this a lot, and I love this example because it's so true. You're trying to persuade the king to give up his throne. That's not going to happen. I'm not even going to ask you for a roll. It's going to be a straight up no. That's not happening. And if it was a roll, technically the roll, if you get like a natural 20, is just the best thing happens. So, like, the king just doesn't throw you in prison. He looks at what you said as a joke. That would be a result of a natural 20, but a lot of players don't accept that as a natural 20 because they view natural 20 as an automatic success, which it's not. Like, the only time it's actually an automatic success is in combat, and that's, like, it at most tables. I mean, there are some tables who might make it an automatic success for an ability check, but not my table. Alright. Your world, your rules. Not every weakness. Okay, we already read that in the combat thing. That's fine. Fool me once. Many social weaknesses may not work if used repeatedly or carelessly. If the party invokes the name of a noble house to gain advantage on a charisma deception check to get past a guard, and the noble finds out about it, he may alert the guard force about suspicious activity, and the guards will no longer fall prey to this tactic. I like that. Adapting. Alright. Discovering weaknesses. Monster weaknesses can be discovered in a variety of ways, both during a combat encounter or long before the combat takes place. How you enable finding these weaknesses is up to you. Alright, cool. Weaknesses in the moment. Discovering weakness in the moment can arise in a number of ways. The most common ways are either via experimentation or experiments. Or experience. Wow, experiments. Y'all know I don't edit these videos. I just record, put it up there. That's that. Alright, let's see. Experimentation. During the normal course of combat, a character may do something or try something that triggers or exploits a monster's weakness. When this happens, let them know something unusual has occurred and what they believe caused it. Once a weakness is discovered, it is assumed that all characters who witnessed it are now aware of it. For example, the party is wandering through a dark dungeon and a cloaker attaches itself to the rogue's head. If the cleric suddenly casts a light spell so that everyone can see what's going on, the cloaker's photophobia weakness triggers, and all characters who could see the cloaker would observe its response. Some weaknesses require a character to use the reaction to respond to a creature's action, such as a crocodile's one-way jaws weakness on page 15. If a character is in a situation where they could feasibly use the reaction to exploit a creature's weakness and are proficient in a level skill, you can allow them to make a free action skill check, as determined by the weakness discovery table, where the DC is equal to 10 plus the CR of the creature, in order to try to discover the weakness. Experience. Many weaknesses are based on creatures' anatomy or biology and may simply be apparent to skilled heroes. You can call for a skill check, again, as determined by the table. For example, a druid character proficient in nature who rolls a 16 on intelligence nature check may recall their grandfather telling them that when attacked by an owlbear, CR3, it's best to feign death until it leaves. When recalling weaknesses this way, characters can only recall the weaknesses of monsters with CR equal to or below their level. I like that. I like that. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Note, you could change... Oh, wait, we've got to look at this. Weakness discovery table. Types of checks. For giants and humanoids, it's either intelligence, history, or investigation. Alright, I mean, depending on the lore of your world, that might make sense for some other stuff. But that's cool. I would like to point out that all of these are supposed to be intelligence checks, but they do have a note on that. We'll get to that. Aberration, constructs, dragon, elemental, fey, and oozes are intelligence arcana. Beast, dragon... Oh, so dragons have multiple. Okay. Beast, dragons, elemental, fey, monstrosities, oozes, and plants can also be intelligence nature. And the celestials, fiends, and undead can be intelligence religions. Note, you can change the skills associated with the type of monsters at your discretion and to fit the situation. Yeah, so like, it could be wisdom for celestials or something, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. Oh, excuse me. Optional feat, tactician. All right, we're already deep into this. Let's here we go. We don't want to. I don't want to ruin too much about the book. I just want to give the basics and then dig into a couple monsters. Research and weakness. Characters can research weaknesses by talking to knowledgeable NPCs, such as the ones provided later in this book, reading books and tomes, using divination spells, or from their own prior experience. When gaining information from NPCs, keep in mind that knowledge is valuable, and many NPCs will require payment in information, treasure, or quest in exchange for what they know. Player characters can make an intelligence investigation checks when researching a weakness in a book or tomes, where the DC is equal to 10 plus the creature's CR. Alright. Quick, simple, easy to figure out. Love it. So in the case of the owlbear, CR3, so that would be a DC 13 investigation check to figure out something about it. Not bad at all. Easy, quick method. Love it. Weakness design. This book provides over 500. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you heard me correctly there. 500. Nice. Weaknesses for the hundreds of creatures in the monster manual. But you may find that you want to add additional weaknesses or homebrew you may find that you want to add additional weaknesses to your homebrew monsters. There we go. If you feel inspired to design your own weaknesses, consider implementing the criteria used for the weaknesses in this book. Alright, here we go. The weaknesses cannot be the default thing the Avengers are expected to do in combat. So, you know, it's weak to Divine Smite. That a paladin is expected to kind of Divine Smite. That would be bad. Alright. The weakness cannot be easily abused to avoid trivializing an encounter. Again, Divine Smite. The weakness must be simple for the DM to implement. The weakness must adhere to the flavor, anatomy, and monster manual lore of the monster. The weakness makes combat with the monster more interesting. The weakness is discoverable. Other considerations that may help develop interesting weaknesses. Is the method for discovering the weakness interesting? Does exploiting the weakness come with some risk, reward, or preparation? If the monster already has weaknesses, can they be tweaked to add interest? Does the weakness warrant some sort of offsetting buff or balance? How does the monster react to, or how is it susceptible to damage types? Oh, I like that one. How does the monster react to, or how is it susceptible to conditions? All right. How does the monster react to, or how is it susceptible to forms of forced movement? Okay. Are there any underutilized items of adventure gear that the monster may respond to? Just remember, adding weaknesses to monsters is designed to increase the fun at your table. You can always adjust things in the moment or omit something that just isn't working. Now, let's dive into this encyclopedia of monsters. Or monster weaknesses. Okay, so we're going to go here to the index and we're going to pick a couple of different monsters. All right. Let's find... Oh, sorry, guys. Let's find something interesting here. Unicorn. Let's go unicorn. Unicorn could be fun. Oh, I love that art. Again, man, such gorgeous art in these books. All right, here we go. Unwelcome Rider. A medium or smaller bipedal creature with a 5 feet of the within 5 feet of the unicorn can use their action to make a DC 15 strength, athletics, or dexterity acrobatics check to leap atop the unicorn's back. Okay. If the unicorn does not already have a rider while bearing a hostile creature on its back, the unicorn cannot make attacks against the rider, cannot use its teleport action, and has disadvantage on all attack rolls. The unicorn can use its action to make a contested athletics check against the creature. If the unicorn succeeds, the creature is thrown off the unicorn's back, takes an additional 1d6 bludgeoning damage from the fall, and is knocked prone. I'm assuming that's inspired by how a horse, because a unicorn is a horse-like creature, when a horse has somebody on their back that it doesn't want to, it starts bucking wildly. If you have ever seen a horse being, as they call it, broken, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Or even better, watch an episode or two of Yellowstone where they break the horse. Those things go absolutely crazy if they are wild horses being tamed. Holy cow, it is an incredible sight to witness. I've witnessed it personally because one of my uncles used to own a ranch back in the day. Yeah, it is an interesting sight to watch. Alright, Fear of Fire. Whenever the unicorn takes fire damage from a spell or magical effect, the unicorn must succeed on a DC 13 Wisdom saving throw or be frightened of the caster until the end of its next turn. In addition, creatures wearing or carrying magical flames have advantage on charisma intimidation checks against the unicorn. Okay, so that one's kind of a social one there. It can be used in combat because of the frightened, but I do like the advantage on charisma intimidation checks. That could be a social one that could really come and play and be actually quite nice. I do like that. Alright, let's look at something else. Let's look at a gargoyle. Where in this list is the gargoyle? Okay, it's down here. Boop, 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 boop. Alright. So you're going to be able to look at all these if you want to, but I'm going to go as quickly as I can here. Gargoyle, Sunlight Petrification. If the gargoyle starts its turn in sunlight, it must succeed a DC 15 con save or become petrified until the end of its next turn. Alright. Tethered. A gargoyle can only venture 1 mile from its home structure unless they are on an elemental plane. Alright, I like that. Let's look at the Succubus and Incubus for the third one, / fourth one. Wait, where is it? What the heck? That's the imp. Oh, there it is. Do. Again with the art, man. Armor of Piety. Creatures waning holy symbols have advantage on saving throws against an incubus or succubus's charm. Alright, I like that, I like that. Allergic to Scripture. If a creature spends its action to recite Holy Scripture, the incubus or succubus must make a DC 13 Wisdom saving throw. On a failure, this succubus takes 6 if you use average, or 1d12 if you roll psychic damage, and it reverts to its original form if it has polymorphed using its shape changer trait. If the incubus or succubus succeeds on this saving throw, they become immune to the effect for 1 hour. Alright, cool. Nothing too disgusting there. Orc War Chief. Ooh, and Band of Orcs. I love it, man. I absolutely love the art. Let's go. Alright. Summons to contest. Most orc war chiefs would never back down from a challenge of strength to maintain their authority. A creature can spend a bonus action to make a DC 14 strength intimidation check to call out a challenge to battle the orc. On a success, the orc has disadvantage on attack rolls against other creatures for 1 minute, or until the creature is reduced to 0 hit points. Okay, that's really nice. I like that, I like that, I like that. The orc has advantage on the save if the creature calling the challenge is below half their maximum hit points. The orc cannot be affected by more than one creature at a time. I love that. That actually gives a taunt mechanic, so to speak, to like your barbarian or your fighter or your let's just say frontliner, right? Because, you know, there is no real mechanic for that in D&D 5th edition. There might be for some other tabletop RPGs, but 5th edition, which is what I specifically specialize in. I've run a couple other TTRPG one-shots, but like this right here is my specialty, is 5th edition. There's no real taunt mechanic. The closest thing I believe would be the certain features. For example, the Ancestry Barbarian subclass, the Ancestral Guardian, has kind of a mechanic where it encourages you to attack them only, but this right here is truly a taunt. Disadvantage on all attacks except the person that called them out. I love it. Let's continue on. Show your strength. Most orcs value strength and power above all else. Creatures with a strength score of 20 or greater have advantage on charisma persuasion checks to convince the war chief to act as an ally. Alright, alright. Not bad at all, not bad at all, not bad at all. Ooh, let's look at a monstrosity. You know what? I recently watched The Legend of Vox Machina, and I'm interested in some sphinxes. I don't think the Androsphinx was... I don't know what type of sphinx that was. However, Androsphinx, cursed by apostates. If the Androsphinx becomes affected by a Bane or Bestow curse spell, its connection to its divine creator is weakened. While affected by the spell, creatures have advantage on saving throws to resist its roar action. Alright, I like that, I like that, I like that. And not unreasonable either. I mean, Bane is quite a decent spell in combat. At least in my opinion. I mean, -4 to all attacks and saves. Whew. That can add up, man. Especially if the party works as a team and like 2 or 3 of them cast Bane at once. Wait, hold on. I may have to correct myself there. Let's look up Bane real quick, because I do believe that Bane might say can only affect 1 creature at once. That would be Cleric and Paladin more than anything. First level, Bane. No, it does not have any caveats. So yeah, this is stackable. So, let's say you have a Paladin and a Cleric in your party. The Paladin's probably the front liner. The Cleric is probably your healer or support or whatever, right? I mean, they could be the damage dealer, don't get me wrong. It could be vice versa. And they both cast Bane at the same time. Now, granted, disadvantage is only going to go once there, right? or the advantage is only going to give them once, right? But that's also a minus 2d4 to all its attacks and saving throws on top of that. That's awesome. Alright. Self-scrutiny. When a Sphinx is aware that it has failed a saving throw or contested ability check, its injured pride afflicts it with self-doubt the next minute. Okay. During that time, the Sphinx loses its inscrutable trait. Okay. I don't exactly know what the inscrutable trait is. But losing a trait is quite a potent thing. I like that. All right, let's take a look at one more thing. Let's take a look at the classic, the Lich. We all know the Lich. Let's take a look at this. All right. Call to action. The souls of the individuals the Lich has trapped in his phylactery can be persuaded to fight against the Lich from the inside. A creature may use an action to call out to an individual soul and attempt a DC 18 Charisma Persuasion check. On a success, the Lich loses a legendary resistance. If the Lich has no remaining legendary resistance, the creature gains advantage on saves against the Lich's spells and abilities until the end of the creature's next turn. Alright, I like that. I like that. It has a caveat if it has no legendary resistance left. I like that. That's really cool. Whispers from the Lost. Calling out to the individuals the Lich is trapped in his phylactery can allow what remains of their individuality to temporarily take over, potentially revealing information the Lich would otherwise keep to itself. A creature can speak the names of trapped individuals, give specific details of their lives, and make a DC 18 Charisma Persuasion check. On a success, the creature has an advantage on Intelligence Arcana checks to determine how to destroy the Lich's phylactery. I like that. I love that. The Whispers from the Lost, getting some information from the souls inside the phylactery. That is really, really cool. Alright, let's take a look at how much this cost right now on DM's Guild. So, on DM's Guild, as you see, I've already purchased it, but it is $11.95 for the PDF. Alright, not bad, not bad, not bad. For a premium color hardcover, it is $27.95. I will probably let him getting one of those. Very nice, very nice. For the soft cover, standard color, it is $17.95. All right. For the PDF plus the premium hardcover book, it is what looks to be $30, $39. I can't really tell because of the slash through it because I have the discounted price. But for me, it would be $28.95, which, why would I do that? I already have the PDF. I just go with this right here for, okay, anyway. And, $20 by the look of it for the PDF plus softcover, but I have a discount of $18. I'm probably going to get the hardcover at some point. Here you see some other reviewers and whatnot. Dragonix, author of the Monster Manual Expanded, which I do plan on doing a review on, by the way. Absolutely. That is one of my more favorite monster books, so up there with the Tome of Beast series by Kobold Press. Nice, nice, nice. Here you see the pictures that we saw already. The Celestials, okay. Oh, wow. I didn't even get to the Giants. That's cool. Here's some other on content by by Daniel Kahn, who is one of the people who worked on it. Monster Weaknesses of the Multiverse. I do plan on doing a review of that as well because I bought the what is that? The combo pack they have. I don't know what to call it. Wild Beyond the Witchlight, some stuff for Icewind Dale, some stuff for Tomb of Annihilation, Strahd, stuff like that. Nice, nice. I believe that is Splinterverse. I love his stuff. He's actually kind of who encouraged me, well, not encouraged, but inspired me to start doing reviews because I do love the content. Yeah. So, yeah, yep. That is the Monster Weaknesses. I love it. I like the idea of, while making things more powerful, still giving them a way to be able to be balanced. And I think the weaknesses is a really, really good way of doing it. So yeah, if you want to add it to your games, feel free to pick it up over on Dungeon Masters Guild. I like it a lot. It's cool. It encourages your characters to actually roleplay every now and then too, because of the social weaknesses. And obviously, combat being more entertaining is always a good thing, because I cannot stand combats that are just hit point for hit point for hit point for hit point. You know the drill. Bags of hit points. Don't do that with combat. Anyway, this has been the Witcher's Forge. I look forward to uploading more now that I've got my computer back. Yeah! Thank you for tuning in, and I will see y'all next time. Do 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 dun dun dun.